Okay, we're ready to level the platform. So the first thing we're going to do is get the platform up near our nozzle. My tendency is to use the middle, and then start with something like 120. I think the default's 118, but anything near there is good. And so just watch here. So it'll come up close, and it'll stop, and we'll get it a little closer in a minute. So what I want you to notice is there's a little nub on the end of the nozzle, and I'm just going to take the cutting knife that comes with your printer. I'm going to take the sharp edge here, and I'm just going to try to knock that off. I'm not going to try to ding the nozzle, but just try to knock that off. Alright, can you tell it's gone? Yep. Okay. It's important that as you're looking for the distances that you have, this is kind of an accurate process. Alright, so let's go up to 125. And the main thing is we don't want to crash this into the platform. Let's go up a little more, let's see, maybe 130. Once we get closer, we'll start going increments of smaller increments. Let's go up to 133. Now, on the software, it's not going to let us go past 133. So what I'm going to actually do here is, it looks like I can probably go another 4 or 5. So I'm going to set this to 138, and I'm just going to set the nozzle height, and I'm going to say yes. And notice it sets my max to 139, sets the max to 1 millimeter beyond that. Now it's important here then to go slow, because now we really can crash the tip into the platform. We should try not to do that. Alright, so now we still have 138 here. So we're going to go back to 133. And it shouldn't move, which it didn't. And now we're just going to go 1 millimeter at a time until it gets close. We're getting closer. 135. Alright, now we're getting really close. And so now that we're this close, we're close enough that we can start telling how to approach this. So I probably should have grabbed a piece of paper. So let's think about this for just a minute, just the basic theory for leveling. So if this is the front of the printer here, if we're looking from the top, then your print bed looks like this. And I normally do step 1 is to level the front edge. So that's this edge here, back and forth. Alright? And on your software, that's the F and FL and the FR. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go back and forth between FR and FL. Alright? So that's step 1. Alright, so let's put this back here. And we can go a little closer, but let's go back and forth a little and just see how close we are. And you can tell now that the left side is a whole lot closer. And so what we're going to do is we're going to twist the left side a little closer, and we're going to loosen up the right side just a little bit to lift it. And now we're going to go back to the other side. Looks like we can go a little closer here, so we're going to loosen up just a little, and that brings the print bed a little closer. And I probably shouldn't keep heating this because it's hot. Probably shouldn't have heated it up before I tried to do this. Alright, and so let's go back and forth once or twice now. Alright, so let's go a little closer. I'm going to go up to 135 and a half. Alright, that's a little too close. Let's back down a little. Alright, so you can just see a little white gap there. Now we're going to go back to the other side. And we're going to try to get this to be the same on both sides. So the reason it's important that you're close, your eyeball can tell hair on your head. Hair on your head is about 50 microns. That's really, really small. And you can tell the hair on someone's head from about 20 or 30 feet. You can still resolve hair. So you can get this really, really close. In fact, I'm going to have to jockey with the camera a little bit, because that's why I have the white paper there. There's just a little teeny space in there. And I'm just gonna just use just a hair. So the more careful you are with this, the more adhesion you're going to have with your models. The leveling makes a lot of difference in how well your models adhere. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is run it back and forth a couple of times so you can see. So now the front edge is pretty level. Alright, now that we have the front edge level, let's draw here in the paper. It doesn't matter whether you do the left or the right, you just want to do one edge, front, back. For this sake, let's just say the left edge, but you could just as easily pick the right edge. Alright, and so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this is level, and then we're going to make sure this is level. Now the reason we do that is because you only have 3 screws. You have a left-right screw, and then you have this one, which you can consider a front-back screw. You can consider that the screws behave like this. So these two are left-right, and this is front-back. If this platform is not perfectly flat, then there's another issue we have to do. But let's do this first, and then I'll go over the secondary way of leveling once you do this. So now that we're on the left, now we're going to go to the back. That's the NL on this one. And you can tell that it's, put the paper back there, you can tell that it's quite a bit higher. So we're going to loosen this up in the back to get this a little closer. And then we're going to push the platform forward again. Now, let's move this a little closer then. Alright, maybe just a tad close. Let's back it up just a hair. Alright, and now let's go back to the back and see how close we are back there. Wow, we guessed pretty well. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. And if I messed with it, I'll probably make it worse. Alright, so it's pretty level front to back. And then we'll double check the side to side again. And notice the side to side is still pretty good, okay? Now, the trick is when we go to the right and the back. Now, this is the one we didn't do yet. Now, you'll notice that it's a little further now down in the back. Now, the reason for that is that this platform is not perfectly flat. It's shaped maybe a little bit like a potato chip. Now, don't worry, there's another way of leveling that helps you a little bit on this. And let's come back to our drawing board here. So this is sort of step one, is the front edge and then a left or a right edge. Then the other thing we do is then we level crisscross like this, because in a potato chip, the middle, there are lines that run through your potato chip that are roughly flat. And even if the potato chip is shaped kind of weird, these two lines can be somewhat flat. And so what we're going to do next is, now that we've got it mostly level, we're going to go back and forth like this. And the reason for that is, if you see your three things are a lot more closely aligned to this type of a shape than they are to figuring out how to get this one and this one the same. And unfortunately, there's no simpler way to do this, and so I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. From here, you just have to fiddle with it a little bit. But the idea is you're going crisscross, and you're trying to get a level plane you're trying to get cross corners to be even as you go back and forth. Because then, at least you know there's two lines on your platform that are level, and that'll make it mostly level. Alright, so coming back to here, we notice that there's a little bigger space on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the left front one here, and I'm just going to screw it in just a hair to try to level that now. Oh, sorry, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to use the screwdriver because it's really close. Alright, give me just a second. I'm going to have to squeeze my head over here. Look at that. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is go crossways. And it looks like those two are really close. Oops, I hit the wrong one. Sorry, let's do that again. Back to here. And then back to here, crossways. So those are pretty close now. Now, let's go back to here, and let's go crisscross the other way. Oops, did the wrong thing again. Just a second. Alright, crisscross this way. Alright, now, this is a little too high now, so we're going to have to... Give me just a second, I have to fight with the camera here for space. Just a second, let's try to get this right. Alright, just 10 more. Too crazy there. Alright, so now that's pretty close on the corners there. And now let's go back to this other corner and let's go crisscross back with the other one. Alright. That's pretty close on the corners. And that's about as level as I know how to make it. First, so it's sort of a three-step process here. The third step is to level. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but basically make sure the opposite corners have the same spacing. So the first one is to level the front and then one side, and that gets the platform really close to level. Then, if it isn't level, it's because of the platform not being completely flat. And the way to solve that is to go crisscross and then to use probably the left-right. Occasionally you have to use the back one to get it level. And again, as I normally suggest with these screws under here, it's normally a good idea to make them as snug as you can, because when they're looser, your platform is a little wiggly, and you can see right now the platform is really pretty stable. You know, as I wiggle it a little bit, I'm actually wiggling this more than I'm wiggling the platform. And that's a sign of a platform that's going to stay level for longer. If you do a good job leveling, my experience says it probably will last a day, maybe two. You know, in some cases, depending on how heavy you're printing or what you're printing, it might be level up to 3 days. But you should definitely level it several times a week. That will give you much better models. That's it.